Women's pro hockey in North America consists of the NWHL and formerly also from the CWHL, which unfortunately folded a few years ago. They all had the same problem, that they have a very low income and therefore also very low salaries for players. The women's hockey players have been fighting for equal rights and pay for years now, and that's why they created the PWHPA, which is a player association where they fight for this cause. Also through the NHL All-Star Game, the women's hockey got some increased media coverage in the last years. Today's interview will be with Alex Cavallini, formerly Rigsby. Alex is a former college hockey player for Wisconsin and is now part of the US national team. Alex also played in the Canadian Women's Hockey League and participated in the Olympic Games, so it will be interesting to ask her about women's hockey up to date. Hi Alex, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so could you explain your youth and junior hockey career for us?
I started playing hockey when I was 5 years old. We had just moved to a different state, so we moved to Wisconsin, and my brother had begged my parents to want to play, so they let him sign up because we had a rink a couple minutes from our house. And so of course if he was going to play, I said I was going to play, and from that point forward I was just kind of hooked on the sport.
Yeah, so when you're just like 10 or 12, when did you really realize that you wanted to pursue hockey for more than just fun?
Yeah, I actually so I started playing AAA boys hockey when I was in 5th grade. So I was like 9 or 10. And so I feel like that was a jump from, taking it from, kind of a hobby and like having fun with it. Not that I didn't have fun continuing, but to then jumping into AAA hockey where I'm traveling all over the country. And by 6th grade, I traveled to Sweden for a tournament and Russia in 7th grade. And so I feel like I was really taking it seriously by the time I got to AAA hockey and knew that that was my number one sport. I still was a dual athlete and playing other sports, but it was always hockey. It was the main priority, and it was always the sport that I made sure that I wasn't missing any of the practices or games for.
Yeah, and did you always play on boys teams or girls teams?
I did. I played boys teams all growing up, and it was one of those things where when I first started off, I didn't really know any better, and there was another girl in the program of my youth team that people were like, well, she's still playing boys hockey, you can do it too, and it's now one of my national team teammates, Brianna Decker, and so we both grew up in the same area playing boys hockey, and I just was able to play a little bit longer in boys hockey because I was a goaltender and didn't have that physical contact and necessarily along the boards and everything like that. So my first full-time girls team was when I was headed to college, but before that I'd played part-time girls like as a U12. I'd go on a before and after team, and we went to nationals both times, and then I played U18 girls for the national team.
Yeah, and which one of the two would you advise for a young hockey girl?
Yeah, I think it's a situational thing. For me, I always played boys hockey because I just knew that I had the capability to do so. And, for me, I was like, well, why would I switch over to girls hockey if I can continue to play boys? And I knew that it was more competitive and had a higher level. And I think the girls game has just grown so much in the past since I was even, playing and growing up. And I think that there's so many more opportunities for the girls to be a part of, great girls programs. And I definitely say more so on the player or the goalie side to definitely, try and play boys hockey as long as you can. And, I think that there's no harm in doing that. But I also understand that, there's a lot more challenges that come with playing boys hockey. And, it's like I said, there's just a lot more opportunities for girls today to play.
How is it different to be in a girls' locker room or in a boys' locker room?
Yeah, it was so different. I mean, I remember going to the locker room and we had such a fun team. We had such a good team. It was a very talented team. And I just remember going in there and, it was so much fun, like the dancing and singing and whatever, and just having a great time in the locker room. And that's something that I definitely missed out on. Growing up, I still changed in the boys' locker rooms. They were very respectful, especially like once I got to high school, I'd change my own locker room for practices, and then for games, they would change into their undergear. I'd change in my undergear in the bathroom, and then I'd come in and get dressed the rest of the way after that. And they were very respectful and understood that I couldn't be changing in a bathroom and at a random rink on the road and things like that. So it was good. But guys are a lot more chill, and I don't know, it's just totally different personalities, and it was really fun to be able to be a part of the women's team. And my best friends are from those teams and continue to be my best friends on the national team, and definitely create a bond that's definitely different. But looking back on playing boys hockey and what I had to sacrifice and what I did, I have no regrets doing so for as long as I did.
And was the college hockey very competitive, or did you see it just as a free time hobby or something?
No, it was definitely, from a young age, like when I was 6 years old, the women for Team USA, they won the first ever gold medal at the Winter Olympics in 1998. And so from that point forward, I always knew that I wanted to play on the national team, and it was a team that I knew I could play on with a bunch of women. And those were the people that I looked up to growing up. And I always kind of knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of the national team. And eventually then I realized that there was the course to take and go and play women's college hockey. And so for me, I knew by the time I was going into Wisconsin that I was wanting to play in the Olympics, and that was my goal. And so that's what was so great about Wisconsin, is that they have such an incredible legacy there, where they've had so many Olympians that have been a part of their program, and Patty Kaz final or award winners, which is the Hobey Baker in women's hockey. And so I knew that I was going there and I was taking it seriously. And the reason I chose to go to Wisconsin too, and I knew they were so high profiled and such a good team, was because I knew that I was going to be able to practice with the best every day, and I was going to be able to learn from the best. Whereas maybe I wasn't going to get as many shots in games, but I knew that I was going to be able to train with the best and learn from the best. And definitely, obviously happy with how everything worked out there. And, my freshman year, we won a national championship and learned a ton from our seniors, and, just try to take everything I learned and, build upon it every year.
You've now played for so many years also for the US national team, including an Olympic Games. How was that, and how is it to play for your country all the time?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I feel so fortunate to be a part of this team for as long as I have now. Made my first team when I think I was 20 years old. And so 28 years now, I'm 28 years old now. So 7 years later, I'm still on the team, and it's been a great experience. And yeah, it's definitely something that people don't fully understand what we do, and it takes a lot of explaining, just because we're not together we're not together all the time, but that's my main team. And so for us, we have camps in August, which is a tryouts for Four Nations, then we have a camp in December, which is the tryout for the World Championships. And it's been so special to be a part of every World Championship team that I've been a part of, and the Olympic experience as well. And like I said, it's the girls and the women on my team are, my best friends, and I would do anything for them. And so they've definitely turned into family over the years, and just something that definitely want to continue to be a part of for as long as I can.
You've also played in the Canadian Women's Hockey League, which is a professional or semi-professional hockey league. How was that experience?
It was awesome. I mean, for me, it came after the Olympics, and so I made the decision after the Olympics. I took a long time to decide this. I took 5.5 months off from skating and was really trying to figure out if I wanted to continue to play hockey, or if I wanted to pursue a different path. And it came down to me stepping back on the ice after 5.5 months and absolutely loving playing hockey. I'm like, I still have so much joy in it. And kind of one of my teammates from Wisconsin, who's on Team Canada, just reached out jokingly, was like, hey, you should come play for us in Calgary. And I was just like, I'm not moving there, like, whatever. And so I was living in Madison, Wisconsin, and ended up having conversations with the coach there. And I just ended up reaching out and be like, hey, like, what would be your thoughts on me flying in and out for games? And at first they were kind of hesitant on it, and we kind of created a game plan, and they're like, yeah, this can work. And so I lived in Madison because my fiance at the time was finishing up grad school, and he had played hockey at the University of Wisconsin too. And so he was finishing up school. So for me, I mean, I got paid $2,000 Canadian for that team. So for me, I'm like, I'm not going to move up. I'm not going to uproot my life when my fiance's in Madison. So it was honestly an awesome experience flying in and out. I would fly in a couple days before our home games and practice with the team, or if we were on the road, then I would meet the team. So I'd meet the team in Montreal if I needed to, or wherever we were playing. And so yeah, it was just a great experience, and I loved being a part of that team, especially because it was made up mostly of Team Canada girls, and we had a few Team USA girls on it too. And it was just cool to get to know these other Team Canada girls who we compete so hard against, and kind of just working with them and working towards the common goal of winning a championship. And so it was overall a great experience.
In North America, we also have the NWHL, which is a very similar version of the CWHL. What are the similarities or differences?
Yeah, so they're both very similar. So, like I said, I was getting paid $2,000 Canadian. So the NWHL, they don't pay their players much, and same thing in the Canadian Women's Hockey League, where we didn't have necessarily the support staff that we needed. We'd have a trainer at practices, but that's all the treatment you would get. You wouldn't get tape, you wouldn't get equipment. It just wasn't sustainable. And so for us, when we got the news after that season, I had really enjoyed my time there. And when we got the news after the season that the league was going to fold because it just didn't have the financial model and business structure to continue to succeed, that's when we knew that we were in this, the same boat with the NWHL, that it wasn't a sustainable league. And so from that point, then this past season, we created the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, where we had about 200 women hockey players sign with us and agree that they weren't going to play in any league until there was a league that came in and was sustainable, because we work so hard for this. And both in the Canadian Women's Hockey League and the NWHL, that players can't live full time off of hockey. They're having to get jobs, and they're practicing at 9 o'clock at night, so they work within the jobs of those athletes, or they're practicing at 6 a.m. And so I think it's just something that I don't know if it's fully understood, that you can't make a livable wage off of it, and you're having to work. And so that's what the PWHPA is hopes for, is that we can create a sustainable league to where we can be able to just train and play hockey, and that's our job, and we can get the marketing and support staff that we deserve.
Yeah, so you started talking about the future of women's hockey. Where do you see the next step in reaching your goal of creating a professional hockey league for women? Because unfortunately, we saw the CWHL also folding 2 years ago.
Yeah, next year we're going to do the same thing with the PWHPA, so last year we would go to different NHL rinks, and so we'd play out of their practice rinks, and we would have these, we call it the Dream Cap Tour, where we would have these different showcases, and it'd be, there was sometimes it was all Canadians, sometimes it was like an all Canada team versus an all US team. So it was, different teams every weekend. And next year, I think we're gonna be gaining the same momentum and grow off the momentum that we gained this year. And it's gonna be a little bit different with having 5 regions, and there's gonna be tryouts for those regions, and that way that the games are going to be more consistent with the teams, and it's not going to be changing all the time. And so I think that's going to be really beneficial to just what we're trying to create, and I think it's going to really showcase the product that we have, and it's going to be exciting games for the fans, and I think that it's just going to be the next step to creating an overall league that we're aiming so hard for. And really we know that it's going to take the professional structure of the NHL to be able to sustain a women's hockey league. And I think we look a lot at women's basketball, who's under the NBA, and we look at the women's soccer league, which is under the men's soccer league. And so we're just trying to do whatever we can for the next generation, in hopes that when some players come out of college, that they can continue their career and continue to play women's hockey and not have to get a job from it.
Would you have any specific advice for a young hockey girl?
Yeah, I would definitely. Hopefully, especially by the time 15-year-old girls out of college, that they're able to play in, one of the leagues, the league that we create in the future. And, hopefully it doesn't take that long. But right now, it's just, continue to follow your passion. And if that's what you want to continue to do it. And, hockey's not always going to be there. We all kind of understand that. And, you want to make the most of it at your time and enjoy the friendships that you make along the way, and enjoy competing, because it's not always going to be there, and hopefully we can create a great league that people get excited to play for, and excited when their college career is done that they can move on and take a next step in their hockey career.
That was it from our part, Alex. Thank you so much again to be here today.
Awesome, thank you so much.
So that was it for Alex Cavallini. It was very interesting to listen to her experiences, and I really hope to see real pro hockey also for women really soon.